Yeah, I don't think we could, Eric. How are you?
I'm doing well. Excellent.
We were just talking beforehand about I find the position I'm in doing the show really interesting because it's like the businesses you've done before. It's like some business I've done before, except there's this constant question about like, is my customer right or wrong? Like, should I, for instance, I put out the cloud seeding episode yesterday, and one with Kayla Golden. She works for the Idaho Water Resource Board, and incredibly knowledgeable, like really cool episode. I don't know anything about water. I don't know anything about cloud seeding. I know that we live in a desert and we somehow can farm like crazy, which is wild to me because it's like, I live in a place that, like McCuney, there's no water running through here, but like we have produce everywhere and there are farms everywhere. So obviously somebody's doing something with water to make sure we have water and can continue existing. And it's amazing how angry people get, how frustrated they get. And the question I come back to is like, well, do I let the viewer dictate what I do on the show, or do I just do what I think is right and I go from there like we most likely do in business? Like you can't let your customer dictate everything. That being said, you have to provide a service that your customer enjoys.
I think when you look at today, people want you to conform to them. Not everybody, but there's a certain group of people. And if you don't conform to what they believe and what they want, there is going to be a fight. There is going to be kickback. I mean, even if you look at what churches are going through right now, right? Even pastors are even saying, what really should I say or could I say? And how far do I push? Because people get offended and they leave. And I think that's quite common today. And I think those type of people really, it's like they want to listen, but they don't want to be informed and learn about really what's going on, because in any subject, there's great points, right? And right now, in many of the conversations, it's even hard for people to go, that's a good point. Not bad. I get it. Even though maybe the subject I don't appreciate, or maybe I don't want to accept, there's good points in everything.
I got to tell you this. This is wild. These episodes haven't come out yet. I interviewed two people last week. One is the senator from my district. Okay, state senator, Senator Wintrow, Melissa Wintrow. And the other one was Dr. Megan Casper. She's a pro-life OBGYN who thinks that the laws in Idaho right now are insufficient for women's health care. Now, again, she's pro-life. She's never done an abortion. She's never going to do an abortion. But she's like, that being said, the laws that we have in place actually decrease options for female health care. They decrease options. Not like she wants elective abortions. She's just saying, hey, look, we need exemptions for women's health. There are these really horrible positions that women can get into where we may not say they're going to die yet, but there are possible. Anyway, crazy stuff, right? Both of these women, after I was done talking to them, this was last Tuesday, after I was done talking to them, I'm like, oh my God, I had never, ever seen things from that point. Senator Wintrow, check this out. She tells me, you're from California. I'm from California. Just two California dudes drinking coffee in Idaho.
Yep.
She tells me, she's like, well, there's systemic racism and CRT. Like we need to have CRT in, because there are problems in our like real estate laws or real estate, whatever. And I didn't really get it. Now, do you remember when there was a push in the Realtors Association in California to get rid of the word master bedroom because it implied like master, dominant, slave, the whole thing, right? All of these things. And I'm sitting there thinking, she's saying this. I'm like, oh no, if she starts talking about like master bedroom, main bedroom, I'm like, my head's going to explode. And I was like, oh, really? Like, okay, like what is that? Because again, coming from California, if somebody says systemic racism and, you're racist because you use the word master bedroom, I'm like, oh, just the biggest eye roll of my life. Mm-hmm. You know what she tells me? She was like, she had a constituent come forward and say, hey, I have a problem. And she says, what's the problem? He says, I bought this house, and on the deed, the title of the house, it says that only white people can own this house and live in this house unless they're a servant. It said that in the deed. And this guy happened to be, I think, black. And when she told me that, I was like, oh my God. It's like, it's in the title.
That's pretty extreme.
That's extreme. And this is the point. I brought my own opinion to what she was going to say when she was like, well, systemic racism, CRT. I'm like, oh God. And when she dropped that, I'm like, holy cow. Like, first off, how ignorant was I to the actual problems when people talk about this stuff? Because, people talk about systemic racism back in California. It's like, you're bringing up like the master bedroom example. But here it's like, oh, there are things baked into the legal system that are inherently racist. Like, there's no way you can describe that as anything but like horrible and racist.
Sure.
Right? You got to be open to that. You got to be open to hearing that stuff. Yeah. Right?
Well, I think those are solid things to talk about. Right? It's up for discussion. But I think what we're focusing on in terms of our country are too many little things, right? Rather than our deficit, rather than certain things like that, right? Rather than why is it that the news can take a poll and say 70% of Americans feel this way. I don't know if the poll is accurate, right or wrong.
70% of the people who responded to the poll. You ever respond to polls, Eric? I do not respond to polls.
There you go. I don't either, right?
Yeah.
But I think in a lot of ways, the voice of the country is trying to say certain things, but we have government saying that they know better.
Sure.
And so I think our voice really isn't being heard as much as maybe it should be, right?
Sure. Well, the commercials on the TV are not commercials driven by the populace. They're commercials driven by financial gains for like pharmaceuticals and whatnot. Like, it blows me away when I see a commercial, because now, like you're on Netflix or you're on Hulu, whatever, you don't even see commercials. Occasionally we watch what is it, like Peacock or something runs like a 2-minute commercial, and it's like, oh my God, this tasteful.
Yeah.
But when you watch football games, my wife really enjoys watching football games for Saturday and Sunday, and I don't really care about them. I'm like, I'm not fanboying on some other dude.
Gotcha.
So anyway, but the point is, you see these commercials like, what in holy hell is happening in our country? It's like Swiffer commercials. It's like, can you not mop your own house? And then, like pharmaceutical stuff, making everybody happier and skinnier. It's fantastic.
Everybody's got an agenda. And we talked about it before. You have to look at what the agenda is. And again, a lot of the things that we're focusing on is, like you said, the lazier people get, the less productive they're getting because things are too convenient, right? I remember when I was younger, you had a pager that just beeped and you had to hunt that beep down, right? Who in the heck beat me? And you got to hunt this thing down, right? And now communication is so easy that people aren't even communicating that well anymore.
Right.
So things are getting so much easier. And look at society. It's getting more, I don't want to say the word lazy, but a lot more lackadaisical.
Okay, but to this point, I actually had to confront this issue just this morning. So again, put the cloud seeding episode out, and somebody instantly is like, there is no local, state, or federal transparency on this. That's why people are mad. And I responded to this person, and I try not to get caught up in the comments, but I'm like, hey, just so you know, there's plenty of state and local transparency in the state of Idaho on what they do with cloud seeding. I mean, just first and foremost, this interview is with an Idaho Water Resource Board individual, like not one of the board members, but one of the people that works for them. I'm like, that's government transparency. That's somebody coming on and answering my questions about the legality, about the mechanisms, about when they do it, how they know it's safe, all of these different things. That's transparency. The other thing is there are plenty of websites provided by the state of Idaho and people that like Idaho Power. Idaho Power engages in cloud seeding to improve hydroelectric output. Okay, fine. Like, good to know. Wonderful. They also tell you when they do it, right? They're telling you what's in it. They're telling you all of these different things, but it's the aspect of it hasn't popped in front of my face, and therefore there's no transparency. That's what this person was saying. It was like, if you want have you called Idaho Power? Like, I could give you the number for Brad, the guy.
Most likely not.
Right. Like, you could call the comms guy at Idaho Power. He will tell you exactly what they're doing. So I do think it's a degree of ease of consumption of information. And if the information about what they want is not coming through in an Instagram feed or a YouTube feed or a TikTok feed, then they're like, forget these people. It's like, well, I mean, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, this is just by the fact that this woman came on, that means transparency.
Yeah. I think when you look at what's being shown to us, and sometimes I laugh at it, to where you wake up one morning and wine is healthy. The next morning is wine is bad. The next morning is this is healthy. This is bad. This is healthy. This is bad. A new study came out. That's what I love. That's what I love listening to. A new study came out. And then you find yourself throwing stuff out of your shelf in the pantry, and then the next day you're putting it back in. Right?
Soy is healthy. Soy is the death. Soy is the savior. Soy will give you gynecomastia.
Exactly. Right? And again, it's mass confusion of information right now. It's mass confusion. And I think people now just want to be fed. They don't want to look into why it is or what it is. And that's part of it. They want to scroll.
Right.
You're right.
Right.
And
coffee went through the same thing, right? For like decades. They're like, coffee's terrible. Coffee's great.
Yep.
Coffee's terrible. I remember one of my first tutoring clients, this woman, Lisa Steele, very nice woman, was working with like her 6th grader or 7th grader or something. And we would meet Saturday at 10. That was not a good time for Matt. I was like 22. I canceled so many. I ended up losing her as a client, as I should have, because I canceled like 50%.
Because you're playing on Friday night.
Well, not just Friday night, but I want to do something on the weekend. It's not like I was hungover, right?
Yeah, gotcha.
I was like, I'd want to go to a jiu-jitsu thing, or I'd want to like go somewhere, right? To the beach, 10 o'clock on Saturday. That's a terrible time. Anyway, but when I would make it occasionally, I would bring her a coffee, and we got into this conversation. I was 22. I'm like, well, you know, I know this isn't good, but like I brought you one because I see you like coffee.
Yeah.
She's like, they come out with another study every other week. It doesn't matter. And her cynicism and just kind of jaded, nonchalant dismissal of it, that obviously stuck with me. It's like 20 years later, I remember this woman just being like, that doesn't matter. Like we've been drinking coffee forever. And I think that's what people need to come back to, right? Like Michael Pollan, the ag author, he talks about eating basic food. He's like, listen, stay on the peripheral of the grocery store. Don't go into the middle. Into the middle is where all the boxes are and all the weird stuff is. But if you stay to like the meat and the produce, you're going to be fine, right? It's like eat the things that people have been eating forever.
Yep. I agree. Well, look what happened 30 years ago when they said carbs is good. Right? Look what's happened to us because carbs are good. People got big, right? When you look at the pictures, and I look at my relatives' pictures 40, 50 years ago, they were all just naturally skinny.
They were also smoking like chimneys.
Yes, sir.
There's that.
But the other thing too about that, you know, just to add to that and not take away from it, is it was the labor force. Right. Those are the guys that had a shovel 8 hours a day, right?
Right.
It was the building of America at that time. Right. So tons of labor. But the thing behind it is they ate pork. They ate eggs. They ate whatever they want. And good old Uncle Harry died at 89 years old.
Yeah, right.
Right? And so that's the thing. It almost seems like we're just being deviated on a daily basis on so many bits of information. And you're trying to make all these adjustments rather than going, look, like you were saying, I'm going to live a basic life. I'm going to eat what I'm going to eat. My consumption is going to be limited.
Right. I'm
going to do jujitsu. I'm going to do weights. I'm going to work out. I'm going to stay healthy. I'm going to keep my brain active. And whatever's going to be is going to be. Right? As long as you don't, let's say, smoke 3 packs a day, or you don't overindulge in certain things. But once again, we're just being deviated in so many different ways right now, just by flipping the news on, right? I mean, again, I'm not going to get political, but even when you look at the polls, this one's winning, this one's losing. Now this one's winning, now this one's losing. Now this one's ahead, now this one's behind. Now this poll says this, and it's this emotional roller coaster. When if you really look at the world today, I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference.
Right.
5 years from now, who wins? Because we're on a track. I think we're on a track.
Did you ever see that movie French Kiss? Kevin Kline and Meg Ryan.
No.
Really funny. Okay, so Kevin Kline is this, I think he's like portrayed as this kind of like con artisty guy. It's a rom-com. Okay, I remember seeing it when I was in high school. And Meg Ryan is this American. She comes to France to like woo back her fiance or something, and she meets Kevin Kline along the way, who's this kind of like perennial playboy, and they become friends, obviously. And he's trying to explain French romance to her because she's like, I don't understand how like my fiance got pulled away. I think it was something like that. But there's this scene where he's like, you have to understand the French love affair. Like, and he's going into this big thing about how the French woman keeps the man at a constant level of anxiety because she like loves him, and then she retracts
and they fight.
And he follows, and then she comes back, and she like adores but it's this constant like roller coaster of insanity. And that was the big thing. Like, that's how their romance was, played out. And it's like that with all of the political stuff, right? It's like that with everything. That's why I can't consume it. It's like, if I actually cared, I look at all the stuff as like a removed, like I'm watching it in a snow globe. I'm like, wow, look at all that go.
Because if you get into it, there's 100 highs and lows a day now.
Right.
And it really can mess with you. You have to be very, very careful.
Okay, you're the most fit 65 or 66?
Just turned 66.
Okay, you're the most fit 66-year-old, which means that in 2000, you were my age. Okay, I was graduating from high school, just dumb idiot. What happened in between that time and now? Because I know one other guy who's fit, and he's a sociopath. You are not. So
thank you.
Good. You're welcome. But like, what was going on? Because you avoided, it appears at least, you avoided a lot of the pitfalls that were being peddled to the American public at that time. In like 2000, that was the height of low fat, right? Atkins was coming in, right? So you had the countercultures. You had like the low fat, high carb, and then you had the counterculture of Atkins diet, where people were starting to believe that like protein was good, but it was not, not being, there's no moderation, right? Nobody is peddling moderation. It's like, all right, look, have some chicken. Yeah, you can eat the dark meat. And like, if you want to have a little rice with it, fine. Don't go overboard. Cut out the soda. Like, I remember when I was in high school, my dad took me to dinner once, and I had something like 8 root beers, and he didn't think anything of it. He's a physician. He obviously doesn't want bad stuff for me, but there was no problem at all with just eating and consuming a dump truck of this liquid stuff. But you have somehow avoided that. Like, what were you doing at the time as you were going through it? Were you always just kind of like, I'm going to keep it basic? I mean, stick with the rice and beans kind of fundamental consumption? What was it?
I think I've always been into taking care of myself. I think it's like some people are meant to go to jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
Some people are meant to go to the gym.
Sure.
And then what the gyms make money on is they sign up for the gym, but they never go. Because I think, again, I truly feel you have to be built for certain things. Everybody's built for something in life, right? Everybody is. I've always been trying to keep fit. And growing up in a Spanish household, my mom, I'm firstborn generation here, is my mom always taught us to strive. Always. There's no time for lazy. There's no time for lazy in anything that you do in your life, right? My mom started in the sweatshops in LA and was physically, whatever you want to call it, sure. Right? Her being 15 years old, new in this country. My family grew up the real hard way, right? So it was just the whole ethic of everything that my mom taught. We ate well. There was a regime. I mean, there were boundaries. There were things you did every single day of your life in terms of cleaning your room and working hard. And there's rewards for working hard in this country. My mom always instilled that in us in terms of, really, I mean, we'll talk about this later, but we're built to strive. See, right. We're built to be uncomfortable. See, and most people don't want to be uncomfortable. And that's a big thing I see good or bad. I'm not saying it's good or bad because it doesn't matter what other people feel in terms of that. But I feel that, good example, in this country, everybody talks about retiring. I'm going to retire. I'm going to hop in a mobile home. I'm going to drive the country, right? I'm going to golf. That's fine and dandy if that's what you want. I think it's great, right? But for me, challenging myself on a daily basis is what really drives me. See, it's like, yes, I sold my company. Yeah, I hit a home run for my family. That's all great, right? And my family would be okay if anything ever happens to me. But it doesn't mean that there's not more. I'm not talking about finances. I'm not talking about making money. It's just growing. It's like, some of the most powerful people said, it's not about the money, it's about the growth.
Right. Right. So when I was younger, I had this idea of like, oh, I want to retire early. And everyone I talked to along the way, they're like, well, it's not, because I worked with some really successful people. And one guy in particular, they had this huge house up on this hill. It was incredible. Mm-hmm. And they had actually purchased a bunch of, I don't want to call them artifacts, but like they had columns and stuff that were like 100 or 200 years old that they had built the house around. So they had purchased these columns from like New Mexico or something, or somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. And placed them throughout the house. And the architect built, platforms and the whole thing, right? To make them integrated. Wild, right?
It's almost like Hearst Castle.
Right. This guy had some money.
Okay.
And he had retired. He did a tech company and sold it, made a dump truck of money, and was building up, had retired for a bit, got really good at cooking apparently, because that was his jam. Like he wanted to start. So when I actually first chatted with him, he came into the room, I was working with this kid at their table. He's like, hey, you want a bowl of chili? I was like, no, I'm good. I find out later, like the chili was apparently fantastic. Like I totally botched that one. I should have eaten the chili. Mm-hmm. But so he retires and he decides like, oh, I'm going to start getting really, really good at cooking. And so he does get good at cooking. And then he realizes like, okay, I can only get so good at cooking. Like, what am I doing? And he calls up his friends with like, hey, are you bored? They're like, yeah, dude, I'm really bored. He's like, let's go. So they start another one. They get after it. Now he was doing it in a different way. He was no longer slaving through boots on the ground like they had done in the first one. He was more directing the company and stuff. But it was that engagement that he needed, right? Like he could not sit around. And there was a dad that I knew growing up. I really liked his daughter. But anyway, the point is, this really cool guy, he was always mowing his lawn every single week. It was perfect, mm-hmm. right? And he would go golf. He had this old station wagon with like the wood siding, right?
Yeah, the country squires.
Yes,
Yeah.
And I always was like, what does your dad do? And she's like, oh, well, he retired. He invested in, IBM or something. So he had worked for Chevron and invested in IBM. I called him recently, got a hold of this guy. I'm like, hey, it's Matt from like back in the day. I'm sorry I was an idiot, but question for you. He was so driven. It's like, how did you just tap out? How did you accumulate and become successful at a young age and then just call it and not go mad? And his answer was, he was like, you can't stop. He had kept going in different pursuits. He's like, I volunteered at the kids' school. I played golf like crazy. I would vacuum my house every day. But he had found these outlets for himself because everybody thinks like, oh, I'm going to sit around and like smell the roses. And he's like, no. The engine kept running. I just had to steer the engine in different directions.
It has to keep running. Look, when you're growing up and you're young, there is a time that you're selfish. It's about my house, my car, my family, my finances. And in a way, you have to be a little bit selfish because you're building your future. Right. That's all fine and dandy, right? But then it clicks to where, okay, now how I'm really going to benefit myself and people is to start serving now. There comes that flip side to where you start to serve.
Right.
See? And great things come from serving and opportunities come from serving. And that's why now I have another company and it's thriving and it's doing well. And we just started another company, right? And it's because you have to continue to grow mentally, physically, emotionally. And again, we talk about jiu-jitsu, right? Yeah, business will test you mentally, financially, maybe a little bit emotionally, right? But when you get to, let's just say let's put it this way. When you hit 60, I just read an article this morning. It was a coincidence. When you hit 40 and you hit 60, those are the two biggest bodily changes you're going to go through mentally, physically, There's a lot. For some reason, when a man or a woman hits 40, it's like, oh, okay, right? It's that little thing that wakes you up, right? Okay, now I'm 40. Same thing as 60. That's when things can really start to affect you, okay? And I've always thought that when I hit that age, I'm hoping and praying to be financially and physically and mentally prepared to where I could alleviate a lot of things that happen in your 60s. That's when things kind of start to happen. I know it. See, because my philosophy is, especially with jiu-jitsu, is either you hurt and do nothing or you hurt and do something, but you're going to hurt. It's not the same.
It's going to stink either way.
It's going to stink either way, right? So my whole thing was, I'm going to still strive until I can't strive anymore. I'm going to serve until I can't serve anymore. I'm going to grow till I can't grow anymore. And believe me, you see people that don't take care of themselves, they live till 100. And you see these guys that really take care of themselves and they drop dead at 60. We don't know the future, but you might as well give it the best flipping shot you can give it. See? And so it was one of the things to where, again, let's just take jiu-jitsu again. And I always kind of lean to that is, okay, so we go to the Worlds, right? Now, I'm rolling with guys like you. I'm rolling with a lot of young guys that are strong, that are quick, that are agile, that are good, that can move faster than me. Let me just say,
Yeah, there you go.
that can move faster than me. And that's all fine and dandy because you know what? I want to be with the younger bulls, right? I that's what pushes me. You guys motivate me. I want to be motivated. I don't want to just dominate every day. That's easy to do, right? I want to be motivated. I want to be pushed. So finally, the true test is, I'm going to go to Masters. I'm going to test myself against guys my age. What if all the effort that I put in health and lifting and jiu-jitsu, it's going to be put to the test. I'm going to test myself. I'm going to see how I'm going to do. Luckily, I won, right? It pays off. See, all that effort pays off, not just to win a Masters or not just to win a world championship it pays off in so many ways, see? So I found out that, yeah, all that work I've done, I knew was worth it, but now I proved to myself it was worth it. And it's going to continually be worth it.
Yeah, obviously a masterful performance. Like you won the world championship.
Sure.
What I've always appreciated about getting to that point is that it took me a really long time to realize that the victory or whatever, like all of that was kind of window dressing. The real thing that I've always loved about, I've loved about competing in my later years is developing my capacity, being like, how much can I light this up? Right? Like the months before, the grinding through, and it's so hard to bring yourself to that point in the absence of an event that's coming up, right? It's so hard to bring yourself to that level of fitness, to put yourself through that pain, to be on a path where you know it is unsustainable without an end point, right? And I love grinding myself into oblivion, but there's this last step that you can go to where it's like, I can only keep this up for about 4 weeks. And if you don't have anything in the end of the 4 weeks, it's like, why go down that path? Why beat the hell out of it? Why go to the point where you can't sleep at night because like all of your joints are throbbing and like everything just hurts? You need that thing to pull you into that next level, even for a temporary standpoint. And it's the joy of having that. It's the love of still having that gear and feeling that pain I didn't understand as a younger person why I was drawn to sports. Like I was like a chubby 14-year-old. Okay. So I was on a lot of, yeah. Really? Oh yeah. Yeah. Through middle school, I had like a triple chin. It was a train wreck. I was a train wreck. I come to find out that that's kind of like just my body style, right? So like pack up a lot of weight through middle school and then boom, I stretched out. So my freshman year, I go into water polo and like just kind of whatever follow. And then I go onto the wrestling team and now I'm a dump truck. I'm like 169 pounds. I'm like I'm nothing, soft as can be. And within 2 weeks, I'm 150 pounds and just a tank. And I was not good at wrestling. It was not like I had this natural innate ability. I was like scrappy and I kept going no matter what, right?
It's your drive. It's the drive.
Right. But I didn't I didn't understand why, as a 14-year-old, I kept going back to that thing. And it was like, it's because you finally found something that called you into the next gear. It was not something that you could kind of 50% be in. Like if you're wrestling, you're all in. You're all in whether you want to be or not, right? Just like at jiu-jitsu, you're all in. There's no like, oh, I'm going to ease back a little bit. It's like, dude,
those are the guys that drop out.
Right.
Look, you struck a little nerve here, and what it was this. So I want to compete. I've always had the dream to be a world champion when I started jiu-jitsu, because my goals, I put pretty lofty goals in front of myself a lot, right? So I talked to Gigi, and this is 2 months before the tournament, right? Okay, it's go time. I'm in. So Gigi says, "What do you weigh?" I said, "Well, I lift heavy, 242. Nope. 217. I have 2 months to get to 217. Losing weight at my age is like telling a 20-year-old to drop 50 pounds.
Plus, that's like 3 pounds a week or something. Like you're dropping weight fast.
So there I go. I'm on it. I'm driven. I'm going to get this thing. Something about me, because of what I went through in my childhood, has given me some pretty bad things that happened in my childhood. It gave me this certain drive. Okay. So I'm losing and I'm training. So I'm training 4 days a week. I'm doing privates. You know what it's like. You're all in. It's what you eat, what you drink, how you train. And it's mentally exhausting because, again, you know that you're going to walk in a ring and go up against guys you don't know, you've never met. They want to win. They're in masters, and they're there to take you out, or you're there to take them out. This is no sparring time. So a week before my tournament, I'm in the hospital. Okay, too much, way too much. So I'm sitting in the hospital bed. My kidneys aren't doing well. My heart is just kind of flipping out a little bit. I mean, things aren't right? So they gave me 2 IVs. Still, I'm not going to the bathroom. Is because you really have to understand how to cut. It's almost a science on cutting.
Yeah, right.
Right? So I'm just reading and trying to do the best that I can to try to cut. So a week before the match, I'm in the hospital. So I'm staring at my feet sticking up with the damn hospital blanket over me going, I got to do it. I still have to go, right? So they kind of get me back on track again, right? And they release me. So here I go again, right? Because now I only have 1 week left.
Right.
So yeah, it was a lot. I wasn't at my strongest at the tournament, because when I got to Vegas, I was still 222. I had to lose 5 more pounds in a day and a half. So I knew it was going to take a toll. I knew it was going to be hard. So the whole thing behind it is there's a price to pay for everything if you want to do something really good, right? You have to be willing to pay that price. And again, I say it all the time, Matt. We're born to strive. We're born to push. Now, yeah, I talked to a few people, and even Gigi had mentioned about a year ago, everything's good, right? You're healthy. You're not injured. Everything's great.
Right.
Are you sure you want to do this? Thought about it for a year, right? Thought about it for a year. Another story that people don't understand or people don't know is, so I win the Masters. You know, there's absolute.
Yeah.
Absolute is they take your group, they put you all together, and whoever wins, right? It's the same belt group. It's the same age group. So we're walking to the desk, and I said, Gigi, it's time to go to absolute. Everything's fine. We're good. I don't question Gigi. Good enough. Get my medal. Come home. Last week, I had a chance to talk to Gigi about it. And I said, Gigi, in terms of the Masters and Absolute, I would like to kind of know why. I'm not upset at all. I kind of want to know why. And with Gigi's wisdom, You won, you're good, you got your goal, you did what you said you wanted to do. It's time to go home. And it really taught me a lot. Gigi teaches me a lot. And so I learned that there's a time to really push hard, but there's also a time to go, we're good. It's good. Because whenever you try to go that extra step, that's when people get hurt. That's when things happen. So yeah, masters is hard. Or losing 25 pounds or 26 pounds or whatever it is, that is hard. But again, I truly feel this is what we're built to do. I think we're built to take challenges on and achieve those. It doesn't matter what age it is. See, I know I'm kind of gabbing on a little bit, but for some reason, and I'm going to use America because I live here. And hopefully you agree to this. But a lot of men are looking for the cruise control button in life, right? Yeah, I've worked hard. I've got money in the bank. I can be okay. I could retire. That's the name. That's what they say a lot. And those are things that I don't understand. Why put it on cruise control? What good does it do you to put life on cruise control? Doesn't do you any good. See? Because when you achieve, let's just say, some financial freedom, that's time to serve. That's time to where my wife has been so supportive is I've given to my family all these years, right? I worked hard. I paid the price. I've got to work on me now. I got to get bigger, stronger, healthier, rather than time for golf, right?
Right.
Time to hop in the RV, which is fine. That's okay if that's what you want to do. I never downplay that at all because everybody's built differently. But for me, I'm going to keep on going until I can't go anymore. See, I'm going to keep on growing. I'm going to keep on serving. And I think something that we've really lost in this world is just being faithful to what you do. To your kids, to your wife, to your family, to your job, to jiu-jitsu. It paid off with my family and my wife and my kids. It paid off with the company that I sold. It paid off with jiu-jitsu. See? And so as you get older, you know there's rewards coming if you put it in. When you're young, you don't see that, right? As you get older, you know that if you do it right, there's going to be rewards. So,
beautiful sentiment, by the way. And as you're talking, I feel like there is a resurgence of, we're getting great examples. Now, look, I don't really care about Jocko, right? Like David Goggins drives me nuts too. Cause David Goggins to me is like,
he's 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. But he's okay. He's kind of like, he's a caricature, which is fine. He's like, stay hard. I'm the hardest guy ever. And it's like, awesome. Good for you, man.
Yeah.
That doesn't really help me because I'm trying to raise 3 boys and not be all about me. Because Goggins' whole thing is like, I'm going to go as hard as I can, as long as I'll stay hard. And it's like, great. Were you home for dinner? Like, did you help your kid with math homework? Like, I want to have it all in that sense, which is I want to, maximize my potential with a limit.
Sure, balance.
But I do think that we are having a resurgence of people looking around at the 80s and the 90s and, the 2000s being like, I don't really like the emergence of the yuppie and the guy on Wall Street who makes a dump truck of money and wears like a sweater vest. No offense to any of those people, but that's not what everybody wants to be. That's not what everybody desires. And so you have like the Iron Cowboy who does, like the 100 Ironmans in a row. And you have Goggins and you have, Jocko, and you have people that are starting to deeply embrace and popularize the sentiment of embracing the struggle, where it's like, listen, retirement and avoiding the struggle is death, right? Embracing the struggle and going deep into the hurt locker, that's where you find yourself. And that's something that's spoken to me very deeply for a number of years. But just thinking about it, it's like in the 80s, who were those people, right? In the 90s, who were those people? Those people didn't really exist. And all of a sudden they're popping up and people are like, that's a guy I want to follow. It's almost like the original Forrest Gump, just like running and just like, you know, like
Sure,
the first
I get
person who comes up and runs with him, he's like, I'll follow you anywhere. And he's like, okay, man, whatever. But the emphasis was, I'm going to work. Like, I'm going to work hard and that's it.
I think when I grew up, and there's guys that, take Anthony Robbins, for example, right? I take any book and I find great pieces of greatness in every
You mean
book.
Tony Robbins?
Tony Robbins.
Okay, great.
Okay.
I know Anthony. Okay.
Tony Robbins. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Good.
But if you take any book, you're going to find little bits of greatness in every book. But one thing that I learned at a younger age is this. I remember motivational seminars years ago were huge, right? $5,000 for a weekend, and we're going to get you revved up.
Yeah, we're going to get you fired up.
There you go.
Fired up.
You know how many times I've seen the guy come back Monday and he just got done with a seminar and he's fired up, ready to kill it. And a week later, he's Joe again.
He's Joe again.
Or John. Because okay.
Fine.
Because something that I personally learned, the only thing that brings you no motivation is time of self-discipline. See, when you go to the gym and you start benching 80 pounds, it sucks, right? And you look around, everybody's benching 220. Right? A week later, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, you're benching 130. Now that excites you because you put the time and the effort to go, I'm growing. Growth is excitement. Paying somebody to be motivated is not exciting to me. See, you know for a fact jiu-jitsu is one of the hardest things. You can look it up on the internet. What's the hardest martial art? Jiu-jitsu. You know why? It's because every day as a white belt, you're getting it handed to you, right? And a month later, I didn't get submitted. Right? And then 6 months later,
you catch somebody. You caught somebody.
And it's just like you won the lotto.
It worked.
It works, right? And so that's the beauty about jiu-jitsu. But that's why the dropout rate is so huge, because it's so hard.
I love the process though. Like the jiu-jitsu for especially, I went through this entire thing too. I remember the first time I armbarred a dude, right? This giant Samoan guy, and he was I had worked to him out, so I was sitting on his chest and he pushed up at me. He was like pushing me away off like this, and
he invited you.
Yeah, like we had learned the move that day, and the instructor was like, put your hands like this on his chest, rotate your hips, and boom, hit it, right? I was like, oh my God, it worked. And you know, that was obviously way back in the day when I was starting, but I'm going through this process with my oldest son. He's in 7th grade. And all of my boys have some degree of innate ability with, let's say, academics. Okay. And it's interesting to see him because he's coming up against the barrier of, okay, I can't just kind of like show up and do this, but he hasn't learned the lesson of, let me show you the technique. Like, here it is. Here's the process. You grind up, up. And so I'm going through this with him. And, you know, on Sunday night, we're working on math. And then Monday we worked on math. And then on the car ride to school today, it's Tuesday. I'm like, hey, whip out that math stuff. We're going through, I go into tutor mode. So I'm like making fun of him and making it funny, making bad jokes, supporting his questions. Great question. Do this problem. Boom, boom, boom. And he's getting so fired up over just doing math homework. He's like, can we do more of this tonight? Because he wants to, he's like, I didn't know this. I learned this. And the way they're doing academics now, like he doesn't even have a math book, right? Like I grew up with a math book that had examples.
iPad?
No. They give him a packet of work.
Okay.
And they're just like, get this work done. And I guess either he learned it in school or he didn't, whatever. He doesn't have example things. So going through it with him though, it's teaching him the process. It's engaging in the process. It's like, see, you got it. You got it. You can learn it. You have to ask questions. You have to do this, but you can move forward. And just giving him that little win. I have a relative who really struggles and just really, really struggles. And this person's like 40 now or close to it. And I was talking to somebody recently and I said, look, I think the problem is that this person has stacked up losses their entire life. That's it. They've just stacked them one over another, over another, over another. And because of that, this person's view of themselves is of a losing history. And to cure that, the actual solution for this is a very painful one. And it is not, but you have to reduce down your task, your ask of yourself down to something that's tiny and minuscule and you think is meaningless, but you succeed at it. Right.
100%.
And it's like and that's what this whole process of me learning how to make podcasts. I didn't know anything in 2019. I didn't know what GarageBand was. I didn't know anything about audio video engineering. I didn't know anything. And I literally had to start. And here I'm working with SAT students. All of them know how to do like everything. I didn't even know what TikTok was. I had no idea how to make a short form video on Instagram. None of this stuff, right?
Gotcha.
And so I have to start from the very beginning. And I put together like one little clip. I'm like, that's terrible. All right. But you got to look at the terrible. You got to look at pathetic. You got to start with like, I don't know how to do any of this, but you start stacking a little win. So I'd watch like YouTube videos and I'd watch, over and over and over, just blah, blah, blah. But it's stacking those wins. So it's kind of like, okay, I have 10,000 fails, but I have 3 wins, right? And they're tiny. But I'm going to go after a 4th today. I'm going to see. And that's how, at least I'm working with my son. It's like, look, this is how you become something greater.
But that's what builds motivation. That's right. What builds longevity, right? There's certain martial arts in 3 to 5 years, you get a black belt. Again, good and dandy. I have no problem with that because that's their philosophy and that's their way of doing it.
What's wrong with getting a black belt in 5 years, Eric?
In jiu-jitsu, that's kind of unheard of in jiu-jitsu, that's for sure. I mean, I'd love to have one in 5 years, but but again, the point that I'm saying is especially when it comes to, let's just say jiu-jitsu and martial arts.
Sure.
You're never done. You're never, ever, ever done. By the time you're a black belt or a coral belt, there's going to be 400 more moves, right? It's never ending. And that's what's so great about it, because you're just going to continue to grow, right? And grow and grow. And people, I think more in today's world, they don't want to put out the effort. I mean, I laugh at myself. Let's say we're rolling, right? And let's just say you got 6 minutes on the top, 6 minutes on the bottom. So my partner goes, what do you want? You know, my answer is always, I'll take broccoli first. Yeah. I want bottom. See, because I know I want to get it done.
Right.
Then I can have fun on top. Maybe I can have fun on the bottom too, right? But it's doing the hard stuff first, doing the more difficult one first.
Right.
Right.
It's also, I have a dear friend, Dave. Actually, I've been training with him since he was a blue belt. We ended up giving him his black belt years ago. He's an incredible, he was a BYU wrestler back in the day, incredible athlete, right? And if he gets a hold of you, if he gets, like flattens you out in half guard and gets your head and holds you down, God help you. It is the worst, right? And I realized that I was avoiding that position. So I'm like, oh my God, if Dave gets me there, it's going to be terrible. He's going to squeeze my head off. Like his arms are gigantic. Just, and I realized I was avoiding that thing. So I'm running to jiu-jitsu one day. And I used to run to jiu-jitsu with bricks in my hand. It was like 2.5, 3 miles. Just go, oh, it hurts so bad. The whole, like your wrist can't hold. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm running there. I'm like, what am I doing? Like I'm running away from Dave. I'm avoiding the, and it was like, that only emboldens Dave to keep going after that position because he knows he's got me on the run now.
That's your number.
He's got my number, right? So I go to training this day. I remember this day specifically. I pulled Dave into that position. It had to be 10 times and worked out of it each time to the point where Dave started avoiding it because I'd like pull, boom. And he's like, no. He pushed back. He didn't want to get me flat. And he's like, I got to stay out of that. Like that's a dead end. It's like, got it. You had a weapon against me. You had this thing. And it was only by going directly at it that I convinced you that you should never use it again. The whole time I hated it too. My face was getting smashed. I
get it.
But that's like, those are the things you have to run at.
Well, you have to embrace the suck.
Right.
Right. Look, as you're growing in jiu-jitsu, you always have the guy that you kind of want to avoid a little bit, right? Because he's got your number. And again, it doesn't matter who it is. Somebody always has your number, right? Somebody just has that.
Right.
I don't know if it's the style, whatever it is, right? But again, what I enjoy doing is I'll go up against the guy. Let's say he's a black belt, right? And bam, he gets me. Well, let's say like Lucas.
Sure.
What do you think I do? Stop. How did you do that?
Right.
Show me. This is how you do it. Let me do it. See, it's because, again, you want to face that challenge and you want to learn how to overcome it, right? And then in life, you get better at it and better at it and better at it and better at it and better at it, right? And then there's a system to overcoming challenges, and it's most of it's mental, right? And it's mentally preparing yourself in life. That's why, to me, it's like people will ask me about jiu-jitsu and I'll go, I can't explain it. How do you explain jiu-jitsu? It's not jiu-jitsu. It's what you get out of jiu-jitsu, right? Where can you at the same time be tested mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally at the same time? When I mean spiritually, when you got a 270-pound guy named Chris on your face, you're praying to God, let's get this thing over with one way or the other. And but again,
I agree. I view it, somebody told me a long time ago, I think I was like a blue belt, this guy, Denny, who's really, really good, internationally successful, black belt, really good at no-gi, 10th planet guy. And he told me, he was like, this is for me as much a spiritual practice as much as like professional and athletic. And I didn't really get it at the time, but now for me, it absolutely is. Right. And it's not like, I'm there and I'm praying or, whatever, but it's a reminder of faith. It's a reminder of belief. It's a reminder that I came back from after COVID, right? Really rough, wasn't able to train. Came back and it was this beautiful reminder that I don't get frequently. It's like, you're not special. You're not. The whole time leading up to COVID, a tank, right? I hadn't taken days off for a decade, plus. I was like, awesome, no problem. This was part of my life. Nobody ever got me. Things surprised me, whatever. But coming after COVID, it's like, no, you're not special. You were just in really good shape, and like your body was tuned up, and your technique was good. You're the same as every other person here. My technique was off. I had no core strength anymore. Oh my God, try hip escaping with no core strength. I was like, this is what the white belts feel. I forgot, and it was this incredible reminder of my humanity and my fragility and all of the things that I forget about once I'm back in shape and the technique's solid. That to me is this beautiful reckoning with the world where it's like, no, you're the same as everyone else. Don't forget that. The only difference is you have a little bit more technique and you're a little bit more in shape. That's it. But you're the same. Like, you're no better.
But that's why guys like you and guys that have achieved a lot have a humbleness about them. See, jiu-jitsu is very humbling. I don't see guys that want to show up by rolling with anybody or strangers or show their stuff off, right? I don't. It's a different group of men and women, and it's hard to explain. I'm going off track a little bit, but look at the depression rate right now in this country, right? I'm not saying jiu-jitsu is the do-all. It's an avenue to meet good people, humble people, for the most part, ethical people that want to help and serve. It's a group of people that's a good, clean thing to do. And the other thing about depression, at times, because people are clinically depressed, and I get that, right? I get that.
Sure.
But if you take, let's just say, people that are going through a hard time, if you take high cholesterol, if you take high blood pressure, if you take some of these basic things, the body is dying to heal itself. Why is it that if people have high blood pressure and they start running 4 miles a day and lose 20 pounds, that they're off medication. The body is just waiting, going, let's go, right? We can do this, right? And that's the beauty about whatever art you do or whatever activity you do. For us, it's Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and weights, right? The body's just waiting to heal itself, right? And this is the thing about what we do, or exercise, or weights, or Pilates, or whatever it is that the body wants to fix itself, and you start feeling better emotionally, physically, right? And I think it'll take away a lot of people that aren't feeling good about themselves, or are just looking for an avenue, right? Or the guy that and that's one of the things that I'm trying to push, that we're working on with Garrett right now, is that when a lot of men hit 50, it's like this cruise control button. Yeah, my kids are raised, everything's good. I got a couple grandkids, everything's good. I'm about to retire. Oh man, that's when it just starts getting really good. See? And that's the thing that a lot of men don't realize. See? That's the time you push for longevity, because like with me, when I had my business and I worked so many years, yeah, I abused my body, lots of hours and lots of stress and lots of everything, right? But now is the time where you can go, yeah, man, I can mentally, physically, and emotionally start to heal myself a little bit. And I could be around great people. And I could be around people that really want to strive and want to keep on going, right? And as you practice jiu-jitsu, you see the fallout rate. See, all of a sudden you look around and go, dude, it's only like let's say like a guy named Brandon, right, that I roll with, right? We kind of look around a lot of times like, where'd everybody go?
Yeah, right.
Right? And so I feel bad for those people, because I think those type of activities are a must.
Yeah, I feel bad for a lot of people in the country. I mean, again, you look at more basic communities, right, that haven't been modified by pharmaceuticals, that haven't been supplied with a dump truck of alcohol, or whatever it might be. There was a gentleman on Rogan years back that had won this I think Outlast or Survival or whatever it might be, some challenge where he had to last like 100 days or something ridiculous. And they were somewhere where it was like snowing, and he caught he got a moose, and that was really successful. That kind of kept him going. But he talked about how he spent a lot of time with Inuits and caribou tribes up in Alaska. And how, like, the interesting thing is when the people from the tribes would go into town, they would inevitably end up drinking and being depressed and like just terrible. And their recovery was that they integrated back into their community. They went back to like the caribou herds and just moved on with life. And all of a sudden you had a daily schedule, you had a routine, you were eating basic foods, you were engaged in basic survival pursuits, you had reliance on individuals, and they relied on you.
Support system.
Yeah, like you had an actual functional, pragmatic community. And his emphasis was just like, if it weren't for, family and some other things, I would be plenty happy going to live with those communities and engage in that. But I think that the separation from that type of thing has led us to the problems that we're in now. Like that is the problem with what we're going through, which is that we don't have engagement with individuals. You don't have reliance on other people. Like, when's the last time you needed your neighbor? Like, we don't need our neighbors. We coexist with our neighbors. We get annoyed when our neighbors block our view by planting a tree. Like, we call the HOA and get mad at them. Like, these are dumb things we do, but that's not how we're supposed to live, right? We're supposed to reconcile our differences because we need each other. That's how we're really designed. We're not supposed to have all this excess food and then just be thinking all day about, like, food is supposed to be fueling us so we can survive. It's not supposed to be the focus of our attention all day so we can just eat trash and then better trash. Like, it's one of those things where I look at people that are going down the path of ease and better tasting Doritos, and it's like, oh gosh, I don't think that ends well. And look, I like a great burger, but
it's but see, that's the thing people have to understand. It's all temporary. Yeah. Forget temporary. Set temporary aside, right? I don't care about temporary. I care about the path that's going to benefit me. And good paths that will benefit you take time. That's why the guy that wins the lotto is the most miserable person in the world. There was no path. Right. But the guy that works hard for 30 years and builds his business up and understands money and understands finances and understands people and understands balance and so on and so on and so on and so forth. That's the guy that usually can go, okay, I'm going to be okay. See, I understand the process. Everything's a process.
Right.
You have to learn each process of what it takes. Not just, here's a $22 million check. We've read about all those people.
Right.
They fall apart.
Right.
See?
Right. Yeah. The inability to capture and sufficiently manage wealth when it's thrust upon you and you didn't develop any of the discipline to accumulate it, discipline besides, filling out the lottery ticket.
Exactly.
Right? That is just so well recorded. It is just so well understood. It's like, guys, this is not the solution. You can give people as much money as you want. Did you ever see that movie Brewster's Millions?
I never have. I don't.
Oh my God, what is wrong with you in movies? Like, it was Richard Pryor. It was incredible. John Candy, Brewster's Millions. You got to watch it.
I promise.
But the premise of the movie is that Richard Pryor had a rich uncle who was loaded. I can't remember what the industry was. He dies. And he's like, the Pryor gets pulled into like some meeting with attorneys. Like, here's the deal. I'm going to give you $30 million. And at the end of 30 days, it was like 38 days or 60 days. It's like, you have to have spent all 30 million of these dollars. And if you do, you get $300 million. And he's like, awesome. And he's like, but here's the catch. And he made him do everything wrong. He's like, you cannot invest in anything that earns you interest. You can't invest in anything that makes money. You can't invest in anything else. Like, he goes through all of these things. So the whole point is that he's like, I'm going to make you so sick of wasting money, you'll never do it again. And he forced them to learn all of the ways that he could lose money instantaneously. And he makes it through, spoiler alert, he gets the money in the end. But it's a fantastic film and really highlights that point, which is like, listen, you need education or it's not going to matter. You're going to end up investing in, like, one of the investments that he put money into that he knew was going to fail was, this guy was like, we take an iceberg, we cut out 2 squares in the back and insert these giant diesel engines. And we thrust the iceberg down here. It'll be the freshest water in the world. He's like, done. Will you take $1 million? And he's like, yes. Of course I
gotta watch it. I'll definitely watch it.
It was and again, John Candy in his prime. Like, it was a fantastic film.
It's like even take marriage.
We've been having a good time. Let's not talk about marriage.
No. But you better cut that one out, please. But I mean, even take about marriage. My wife and we've been together 25 years now, right? And our youngest son just moved out, which was pretty hard, right? Because 3 of them are out now, we have 1 more to go, and every time it's another chapter in life. It's another step, right? But the thing about even sticking in marriage is, we're planning on going back to Maui. Now we had a home in Maui before we go back and forth, right? The majority of our memories are there, right? With all of our kids, right? But we're going back alone this time. See? And the cool part about it is it's the investment that you make by being faithful and dedicated in your marriage to where now we're going to go back and go, remember that, remember this. Remember this. See, right. You build these beautiful memories together, right? And to me, it's very touching. It's very, very important to me because when you just don't quit and you keep on investing in it, and it's hard, and it's a tough road. Is now we're reaping the benefits that all of our kids are doing very well, right? We're doing great. We're going to travel more. But now it's the memories that we built to where if you just, I quit. And people do that a lot, right? And in many different areas. What are you really building? See, you're building your failures because It's easy to quit. See, and that's something that I've always been taught is that you don't quit. I remember as a little boy, Mom, I'm tired of baseball. I don't care if you're tired of baseball.
Get out there, son.
I can give a rat's butt. Guess what you're finishing?
Yeah.
And if you don't want to play, sit on the bench. I don't care, right? Because you're not going to do that to your teammates. And I think I think that has to do with, my mom said that, I think it has to do with a lot of things, from jujitsu to work to whatever, is you do have teammates, right? And then if I don't show up to jujitsu for 3 days, I get phone calls. Dude, where are you? Are you okay? Everything good, right? It's a support group. And that's what's important. It's very, very important.
Yeah.
So again, getting back to this, kind of rounding this whole thing up, is just be faithful in all you do and give it all you got. And if you decide to do something, follow through with it, because the rewards are going to be incredible. The greatest rewards is my faith, my family, some of the cool things I've achieved in life. And really what's up there is what I've learned out of jiu-jitsu. I've learned so much.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
And you can't explain it.
No, man. For the people that can, I always recommend people give it a shot and see if they can hang in there. And it's not for everybody. I get that. And it is difficult. I get that. And a lot of people have had sedentary lifestyles, and they just physically, it's going to be a long haul to get up there. And if they don't want to invest, I get that. But man, I love it.
Well, it's like, I'll talk to guys that are my age, or maybe a little bit, a little bit older, right? And they'll go, well, what do you do? You take care of yourself a little bit. What do you do? Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Man, I've always wanted to do that, but I have a bad leg, I have a bad shoulder. See? And my answer is, hey, let's work around it.
Right.
See?
Yeah.
Everybody's got a journey when they walk in that building. Somewhere to get in shape, lose weight, be a world champion, be a black belt. It doesn't matter what your goal is. Let us know what your goal is, and let's work around it.
Right.
See, if you've had a shoulder replacement, it's like I roll with Oscar, right? And he's had a shoulder replacement, a couple of them, and we roll together. But I know, because Oscar told me, that if I get him in some sort of a bar,
right,
I know to take it super easy, right? Because we're working around each other to make each other better. See? And so to me, there's no excuses. There's none.
Well, listen, man, you're world champion, so obviously no excuses for you.
Yeah, it was a real fun journey. I'm going to probably do it again next year. I really want to sit down and kind of think about it a little bit, but it's a lot of fun. But my main thing is, I just want to get better at everything that I do.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to find my way back to competition too. I got to find some time for it.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's very few people out there. I roll with you all the time, and you've competed before. And so you do great, man. Let's go to Masters next year.
Oh my God.
Let's go. We've got 5 or 6 guys going already.
Yeah, I'm going to have to think long and hard about this. It'd be fun. I really like the one-on-one tournaments. I don't like the larger tournaments. They just drone on and they cost a lot and it's difficult. I enjoyed, there was a professional circuit that came through, Fight to Win. That was really cool. There's the Northwest, I think, grappling.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them out there.
But I love the one and done. It's like 10 minutes submission only. Have at it. I don't even care about points. Like whoever comes out on top comes out on top. I really enjoy those.
And that's that's the thing you like to do, right?
Yeah.
For me, it was all based on, how would I do against guys my age? Have I prepared myself good enough?
Right.
Am I not as good? Am I better?
Right.
Well, that day I was, maybe tomorrow I won't be, right? Yeah. It's like anything else, right?
Right.
You see a guy that's 25-0 in UFC and one little mistake and he's knocked out.
Yeah.
That's life.
Right.
Right. But I think everybody needs to test themselves in as many ways possible to see really what they're made out of.
Yeah. You've inspired me, Eric. All right, my guy, we're wrapping it up. Thank you for coming in, sir. Congratulations on your world championship. I'm a little jealous.
I really appreciate it, man. I really do. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully I could at least convey to people to give things a shot.
Give it a shot. Give jiu-jitsu a shot if you can.
Give jiu-jitsu a shot, or whatever you decide to do, give it your all. And see what comes about.
God bless you, sir. Let's do this again with some scotch.
Thanks, man.